Hi you guys, how are you guys this evening? It is Thursday night. You guys are here live on the Dixie Belle Paint Facebook and Instagram page. My name is Brandy and I am with Brushed by Brandy. I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador and I paint here live with you guys every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. So that is what time it is. 9:02 p.m. Eastern is what time I paint with you every Thursday.
Oh, run time.
Yeah. My husband Sean is here with us, you guys. If you have any questions, pop on and he will read them aloud to me and I can help you guys along the way. We're going to talk about tonight the new Dixie Belle Silk line. So Silk is a new line of paint. It's also made by Dixie Belle, but it's a completely different formulation. And I think this is a great piece to talk to you guys about Silk on because of the steps that I took and all the thoughts that go into preparing a piece. I wanted to run through that with you guys and kind of talk to you guys about how I make some of those decisions in the process. So I'm going to go ahead and open this paint. We're going to work on this piece behind me. So the prep that I've done to this piece so far is it started out as a fairly glossy wood. Now Silk paint from Dixie Belle has a built-in stain blocker, but it does not have a built-in gripping primer, okay? So when it's talking about any sort of built-in primer in the Silk line, whoa, that's extra full. I got a bonus on this container.
Sheila noticed your highlights.
Oh, I got my hair done.
Hi, Sheila,
Yay.
Jason, everybody.
Wow, you guys, I got the fullest container of Silk ever right here. So I'm going to put my lid on that because I'm going to spill it. Okay. So Silk does not have a built-in gripping primer. It has a built-in stain blocker. So when I prepped this piece, I chose to use Dixie Belle Slick Stick. Now the inside of this piece is what the existing finish was. It is solid wood. This is Michael Amini. It's a really nice, well-made brand of furniture. It is solid wood. Now with Silk, it's always recommended that you use a scuff sanding, which means just take a light abrasive, the Dixie Belle sanding sponge or any of the rad pads from Surf Prep would also work, and you want to scuff the surface of your piece if it's raw wood, if it's real wood. In this case, I chose to apply my Slick Stick even though this is real wood because I'm going to do a really aggressive finish on this over the top, okay? So I'm going to use powder glaze on this. We're not going to use it tonight. But there will be a video on it. If you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel, eventually this will be a video on there and I will use the powder glazing process on there. But powder glazing, basically you spray it on as a liquid, it dries to a powder, and then you use an abrasive to buff it off. It's very aggressive on your paint, okay? And so knowing that Silk doesn't have that built-in gripping primer, I wanted to make sure that I have all that adherence because I'm going to be rough on it. When I go to buff that,
Easy, Sheila. She wants to know how rough you're going to get.
I'm going to get rough. We're getting dirty. We're getting dirty with it, okay? I'm going to get aggressive with this piece. So there's two questions I always ask myself when I'm painting. What am I painting on? Because that makes a big difference. What am I painting on? What's my surface?
And why am I doing it?
Well, yeah, why am I doing this? What's the purpose of life? Like all those things, I question them.
Well, we try to pull it down to two.
Yeah, but I want to really narrow it down for you guys. So what am I painting on? What is my surface? Is it wood? Is it laminate, plastic, PVC, glass? What is the condition on it? Does it need to be primed? So I always evaluate, what am I painting? What am I doing to it? Those are my two questions. Where am I right now? Where am I going? Okay.
Still trying to figure out both.
So I looked at both of those things. Where am I right now? I'm at solid wood, a little bit of a glossy finish. So I could get away with a scuff sanding there. I don't think this was going to be a bleeder, so I wasn't worried about that. So I'm okay here with what am I painting on? Where am I going is what I made a lot of my decisions based on. I'm going towards that that powder glaze finish where I got to be abrasive on my paint. Okay, so let's put some paint on this. So with my coat of Slick Stick on here, I just give a light sanding. This is a super worn Dixie Belle sanding sponge. I love these. I wash them out. You guys, you can wash these. I actually like them a little bit when they get a little worn and they're less abrasive too. So I save them. And I just do a little bit of a brush sanding over my entire surface because when I rub this with my finger, I can feel a little bit, there's a little dust right there. A little one right there. I can feel a little, and just going like this, 1, 2, 3, problem solved. Like the difference that you'll feel in just that makes a huge difference. So if people ask if you need to sand over slick stick, was that even a sanding? Like even calling that a sanding would be embarrassing. I didn't even put any back into it. I just brush it. And then I'm going to use a damp rag and I'm just going to tack off any dust that I created, which is going to be minimal because I barely sanded anything. The other thing the slick stick does is I'm considering where am I going with this. So my paint finish is going to be a powder glaze finish. It's going to be white. It's going to be white. White is one of the hardest colors to paint in that it usually takes more coats to get full coverage on. So knowing that I'm going to use white, I'm going to be aggressive with it. I chose my slick stick. It also took my wood from wood color to white. It saves me a step here. It would probably take me 2, if not 3 coats of my paint. This is going to save me a step here. So I would rather put my primer on and have the benefit of the primer. And it also saves me a little bit on my paint. So when do I like silk versus the chalk mineral line? Why didn't I choose, say, fluff or cotton in the chalk mineral line? And the reason for that is I want a clean, smooth finish on this. Silk does clean, smooth finishes really, really well. Every paint formulation has its points when it's going to shine, its strengths and its weaknesses. For silk, that is these clean, smooth finishes. I want a clean, smooth base under my powder glaze. I'm going to choose silk. I like the chalk mineral line if I'm going to be doing blending, drippy, artistic, multicolor, working colors together. I would choose the Dixie Belle chalk mineral line for any of those looks. There are points when they can do double duty. So can you do solid single color smooth finishes with the chalk mineral line? Absolutely. But does silk do them better? Yep. So it doesn't mean you can't. It just means it's kind of like choosing wax versus glaze. Sometimes they do double duty, but you can choose which one does it a little bit better. And sometimes that's just a matter of opinion. Okay, so with your silk paint, you want to lay it on with a synthetic bristle brush. Synthetic bristles are man-made bristles. These are the Dixie Belle synthetic brushes. They've got these red bristles on them. They're man-made fibers. They're not natural. They're going to lay on a nice, smooth, even coat. Natural bristles are going to give you a little bit more texture. They would not be the appropriate brush to choose for this paint line. When I paint with silk, I load my brush up a little bit heavier than I would on the chalk mineral line. Now this paint is not as friendly to water as the chalk mineral line is. So you'll notice I really like painting with water with the chalk mineral line. This is a completely different formulation. I'm going to use no water when I'm painting with this. So I use the moisture from the paint itself is what's going to elongate the life of the paint. Another thing to know about silk is you have less of a working time with it. So I will take my brush that's been fairly loaded up and I can brush over my surface. I took the clasps off my door so that I can paint inside of it, but it wants to keep opening now. It's got nothing to keep it shut. So I can brush over my silk. I can go over it a few times. It's got probably a good 5 minutes that you can work the paint. After that, you're going to start noticing it get really sticky. So some of these first parts that I did down here are going to start getting sticky. Even if I see a spot like, oh, I don't care for this brush stroke. Here's a little corner right here. I wish I would have got better. I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let it dry. I need to do another coat anyways. My coverage on here is not good enough that I can get away with just this coat. I'm going to fix those things on my next coat. You don't want to overbrush this paint. You will just end up leaving more brush strokes in it. So you put it on, you've got a few minutes to work it as well as you can, and then I'm just going to leave it.
Did you have any coffee?
Did I have coffee today? No, I really needed a coffee today though. Man, of all people in this world, like I should be #1 coffee drinker and I can't. It makes me nutty. Do I seem like I have
Is that really
today?
the coffee?
Oh, okay. Now you're just putting your opinion in there.
I'm not paid for my
So I will
My
work
opinion.
small areas at a time because this doesn't have as long of an open time. So I will go ahead and get my paint on, loading my brush up a little bit heavier, making sure my brush strokes go all the way across. So I can brush it on, I do this with the chalk mineral line too, any which way I want. Make sure I fill in all these holes. This has those, you know, those fake wormholes that were in every piece of furniture in the 90s? This has those.
Like a time travel thing?
Yes,
Okay.
it traveled back in time.
Okay.
So once I've got my paint on, I'm going to come back and I'm just going to lay my brush strokes out nice and long and linear across my entire piece. If you're doing brush strokes like this and stopping, and even if they match up somewhere, little short brush guys like that, you're going to eventually see all these lines. They're going to catch the light just a little bit, and you're going to see all those places your brush stopped. So get your paint on. This is silk, and what did I choose?
Oh, look, Gary's on.
Oh, Gary, I didn't even think you would be here tonight. What a surprise.
He has a question.
Gary, Sean's been forbidden to answer your questions tonight. I told you. I warned you. I told Mo.
Well, he hasn't asked anything. He's just letting me know that he's there.
He just has a question, just in general. That's good.
It's kind of a life thing.
Yeah, I have a question.
So many.
Okay, so I'm going to get my paint on, and then I'm going to come back with my brush, and I'm just going to lightly run my brush strokes all the way across the front of my piece, not stopping in the middle.
So your wormholes, you painted directly right over them. You didn't fill it?
No, I did not fill them. I fill them with paint.
And when this dries, can you come back and hit it with a sanding sponge?
Yes, I will. I will. I like to just, and it's the same thing I did when I sanded. I'm going to show you sanding again. When I sanded the slick stick that's on here, I went like this. 1, 2, 3. Sanded. Done.
Boom.
So when people are like, do I sand it? Well, I mean, technically, yeah, I got out a piece of sandpaper. Like, it's called sanding. But I didn't get out my surf prep or anything like that. We're not, I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's seriously the easiest step that makes the biggest difference.
Apparently you threatened him, huh?
A little bit. I mean, I don't want to get arrested or anything, but...
Can't prove it.
Yeah, I let him know that I know people, and... okay, I always get asked the question, because on video, I'm always painting with
Can't he ask?
No, not the question. A question. Do I paint with my drawers in? Okay, when I'm not blending, I like to take my drawers out because I want to paint in around this frame. But I'm on camera, guys. And having my drawer in this way lets you see perfectly onto my piece what my drawer looks like. If I take it out and I flip it, then Sean's got to try to hover over me. He's got to get the drone out. Yeah. And it gets a little difficult. So it's much easier to put a dresser on camera and see it with the drawers in. So that's one reason. Another reason is usually if I'm blending, I will leave my drawers in.
And what color is this again?
This is, okay, there's two.
Hi.
This is salt water. You know why? Because I went back and forth right before I came on camera and I was like, 2 of the silk whites are pretty close in color. I'll show you guys. Now that I've got those coats on, if I wanted to still work them, I want to make sure that I get it done now, not stop and talk to you guys and then try to come back to it.
I appreciate that.
Because I'll end up with those brush strokes if I try to brush it again. You need to get your paint on, get it run all the way across nice and linear, and then leave it. Okay, so the silk whites, let me show you guys these. These are the whites in the silk line, okay? In the container, they look near identical. I swear they're 3 different colors. This is Endless Shore, White Cap, and Saltwater, okay? I chose Saltwater. This guy over here is what I'm working with. White Cap is a little bit brighter, and then Endless Shore is a little warmer, like an ivory color. Endless Shore is the closest in the silk line to Dixie Belle Drop Cloth. So I chose Saltwater. I like that it was a little bit deeper. You guys see the difference? This is the fan deck for the silk line. It's got the 20 colors that are in the line. It's true to color, you guys. I think these are a huge lifesaver. I have all the colors in the line, okay? But they look different in the container sometimes than when they're dry. And so I picked this up to choose my colors, not the actual container, because these are true to color when the paint is dry. So does that help at all to see Saltwater, Whitecap, Endless Shore, side by side. My lighting is probably kind of not helpful.
Man,
so
Sheila is one for detail.
What does she see?
Eyebrows?
Oh, my brow. I got my brows done too. I know. I was there. Like, I have to be.
Oh, you were there?
I have to be at my hair girl for 5 hours. I'm going to have her do the brows too.
Sorry.
Dang it. The train just left without me. Choo choo. These are a huge lifesaver. So this is the fan deck for the silk line. This is the fan deck for the chalk mineral line. Okay, so you can see. You can add to them. So if any colors come out in the future for the line, you can add to them. And then the one for the chalk mineral line also has the metallics in the back of it. And they're super good to have, you guys, because they are true to color. So anyway, that's what I pulled out, and I'm using all that, and I can't remember what color I'm using.
Saltwater?
Saltwater, yeah. If Sean remembers,
if I remember it,
yeah, then that's really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to use my long linear brush strokes. I'm not using any water with this paint. I'm using more of the moisture from the paint itself. I'll load my brush a little heavier, enough that I can get my paint to glide all the way across the front of my piece. Someone asked about my little wormholes. I just dig my brush in there a little bit and make sure that they're filled with paint because I don't want to have little brown spots on my white paint finish.
Is the fan deck available on the website?
Yes, it is. So I put my link above in the post, and that will absolutely take you to the fan deck for either the silk line or the chalk mineral line. But I super recommend having one for each. If you're an avid painter, I mean, they're a lifesaver. And then I smooth my brush strokes out, and I'm going to leave it. That's it. Don't try to come back. And I will do the same with this. I will lightly sand over the top of this before I put my second coat on. Same thing. Just give it that light little brushing. So with this piece, my intent is I'm going to do two. I've got a little drip right there. I'm just going to grab it. I'm just coming out of my hardware hole. I'm going to do 2 coats of this white. And then I'm going to do a powder glaze over the top, and it's going to catch all this crisp, clean white detail that you see. It's going to catch all of that in a light gray, and they'll really start to stand out against the white color.
What happened to the top?
I just figure, I just feel like you don't really need furniture tops, you know? I feel like they just add clutter to your house.
Huh?
You know, then you have a place you want to drop your keys and you want to put all your stuff on it. If I just take the top off, it's like a hole, right? No? Okay.
No comment.
Not buying it? Sean's removing tops from all of our furniture now. I'm going to get in here up under this lip. You guys, the top on this is one of those fake stone tops. You want to show them the top?
No.
Well, you can wheel it over here. Just wheel it over here.
Oh my gosh. I don't like this.
I mean, we could either all move over there. Okay, we're going to need everyone to get off the couch. Put your beverage down.
Hold on, let me get the clown car.
So I'm just painting inside these little molded details. These are going to take the powder glaze really beautifully. This piece has so much detail to it that it's going to be perfect for this look. I will get the entire process on my YouTube channel. You guys, I put a video out every Friday with the process from start to finish. This will have one too, and you'll get to see the powder glaze process and what we're going to do to the top, which I'll tell you in a minute.
I've just realized that it took me like 20 minutes to move this over here. I cannot get a walker when I'm older. It's just not going to work.
Okay, so now you can go. You can show them the top, right?
Oh, thank you.
Are you okay over there to do that?
Yes.
Without me? Do you need help?
I'll do one at a time.
I'm going to just pull my drawers out while you guys look at my top.
So here's the top.
It's ugly stone, but it's in good condition. So, my lovely assistant here got up in under this piece, took the drawers out, opened the cabinets up, got in under it, and unscrewed the top off, the stone.
Are we really painting, or what is this?
Am I painting?
Got into the drawers.
I'm going to pour that in resin. It's going to look
Here's
like
the top, guys.
It's going to look like Carrara marble. That's my plan, anyways. In my head, that's what it looks like. I'm going to pour it in resin again, all on the video. But before I can do any of this, I've got to lay a base for everything. So you know,
Camera shake.
I usually know kind of the direction that I'm going when I start painting. Things change along the way, of course. Like one example is my customer originally wanted, I'm totally getting white paint on my black pants. These were actually not painted.
Those are your good ones?
Yeah. I mean, not good.
How are you going to do yoga now?
Let me show you how I'm going to do it.
Oh, this is just ridiculous.
I'm going to pour that top in resin, but originally my customer wanted wood, and we were going to just put wood planks on the top. But then I was talking to her last night, and she said, you know what the heck, let's try it. And so I'm going to pour it in resin. I'm going to take the stone and put slick stick on it. I'm going to coat it in my white paint, and then I'm going to pour gray and white resin over the top of it. I'll do it on camera. And it's going to look like Carrara marble when I'm done. So I'm going to do the inside of this door now. But every direction, I need to kind of know where I'm going. I need to have a rough idea. What look do I want? And some of the sources I recommend, if you're not even sure where to start, number one, I have a blog post on my website at brushbybrandy.com that has my tips on processes I usually go through when I need to pick colors. Some thoughts that I consider. Things like, are you keeping it or is it for sale? What colors are in the room that it's going in? It's not always as simple as just looking at it and being like, that's blue, you know, because I could say that's blue and my customer says, I hate blue. I'm like, well, then we should have started there, huh?
Take that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I go through. It's not just as simple. People like to message me and say, what color should this be? I'm like, well, wait a minute. We got to ask about 20 questions here first. So that blog post is a really good one for helping you just to know where to start, because knowing what finish you're going for is going to help you along the way and what steps you need to take to get there. So again, just brushing my paint on, making sure I get good coverage. I'm going to get it up here in my my crevices. Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped myself. I know.
So, what exactly is powder glaze?
Well, I kind of described it, but it comes in a quart, just like a liquid would, and it goes on as a liquid. It dries to a powder, and then you buff it off. And it glazes in the details. So Dixie dirt, do you guys know Dixie dirt? It's like Dixie dirt you can spray. So I will be, that's where I'm going. That's the product I intend to use on this. But I got to lay all my base products on first, which means getting a nice clean coat of paint, making sure that my paint is going to stand up to the powder glaze process, which is going to mean I need to buff that powder off, right? I need to be aggressive with it. So that slick stick underneath my paint so that I don't accidentally distress my paint while I'm trying to buff my glaze. I could use Dixie dirt. Dixie dirt would give me a very similar look to what the powder glaze is going to do. But this is a huge piece.
Oh, Janice, I know dirt. I have 3 boys. I know dirt.
Yeah, we know dirt. We are dirt friendly in our house. So I could use Dixie dirt. Dixie dirt would be beautiful on this. But it would take forever because it's such a large piece. If I just wanted to do some details, I'm just going to do the spraying the liquid because it's faster. But you could dust this with Dixie dirt, which starts as a powder and stays in a powder, and then you just dust it off. Very, very similar look, though.
So a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
Type of brush that you're using again?
I'm using the Dixie Belle Mini to lay this paint on. I'm going to need another coat. So my coverage here is, I still have spots I can see. You know, you guys can probably tell. Right here is a good spot where you can see I don't have full coverage. That white of my slick stick definitely helped me get closer, but I'm still going to need another coat. So it's, you know, in that case, I'm at 2 coats of paint. That's really common. 3 coats is common with whites. You can bet that if you're painting with whites, it's going to need more coats than if you were doing a color. So another thought I had on this was, this is a massive piece with a ton of details. You can spray silk. Silk sprays beautifully. Why didn't I spray it? So all of these are thoughts I had when I'm preparing my piece. I didn't think I had enough silk to spray this piece. Just looking at what I have on hand, what I think this piece will take, and then knowing that spraying takes more paint than brushing, I felt like I'd be cutting it really close for this size of a piece. So I'm choosing to brush my paint, but I get a nice smooth finish too. Spraying, spraying, I feel like you are trading off the time that I'm going to come that way before you move over here. I'm running out of room. I'm getting shoved into the corner. Spraying, you trade off your time of brushing the paint for cleaning your sprayer, but it's not any less time. It's just how you spend it is different.
So just to throw it out there, you're currently using silk.
I'm currently using silk. This is salt water from the silk line. So after this coat, I'll do another coat and I'll get my smooth, even coverage with silk. I think one more coat on this is going to be exactly what I need. And then I've got the protection of my slick stick. I've got 2 coats of my silk paint. And then I think it's going to be ready to go ahead and spray that powder glaze on. And I can go from there. So, I chose the silk over the chalk mineral line because I really want just a smooth, clean, even white base under my decorative finishes. My decorative finishes on this one are going to be the powder glazing, and I'll probably use a little bit of dark waxes and stuff. Again, I'll do it all on camera. And then we're going to pour resin onto the stone top. Just have a little bit of where the cabinet hardware had a little bit of dust. When I'm painting inside a cabinet like this, ignore this. This is from a label. It's sticky. I just need to remove the stick with like a goof off or whatever. So that's what that white spot is there. But when I'm painting inside a cabinet like this, I just tape off a clean line. I've got blue painter's tape in here, and that way I don't want to paint inside the whole thing. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I just tape off a clean line. And then when I remove the painter's tape, I've got a nice clean edge where I painted up to. So I just tape that right off inside my cabinet door. And then I don't feel like I need to go all the way in because that's going to give me a clean finished edge on my paint. So I'll leave that until I put my final coat of paint on, and then I can go ahead and take that off. So you can kind of see here, I mean, I don't have full coverage. I've got streakiness in here. This is not full coverage. This is super annoying that this door won't stay shut. What could I use? I'm going to shove this little sanding sponge in here, although we need to use it first. So same thing, I'm just going to brush lightly my silk. So I think that's the main thing. That's my main go-to answer when people ask me, when would I choose silk versus the chalk mineral line? What's the look you're going for? It's not so much about what paint do you like better or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. They're completely different paints. It's like comparing apples to oranges. It's what do you want the paint to do? What are you asking it to do? And which one's going to do it better? So in this case, smooth, even, solid color finish. That's silk. That's where silk shines. Silk is going to be your paint for kitchen cabinets because most people don't blend their kitchen cabinets. Although if you do, you are a sadist because that would be awful. That would be a heck of a job. So smooth, even, solid color finishes, that's where silk's going to really shine. If you want to do blendy, drippy, you found this multicolor finish on Pinterest that you love, that's going to be where the chalk mineral line shines. The chalk mineral line, the reason that it shines at those looks is because it's friendlier to water, and a lot of those looks require water. To get drippy, you need water. To get blended, you need water. Silk does not like water as much. It tends to get sticky if you add water to it. It's got resins in it, and here's the why behind that, because my brain always does better if I understand why I shouldn't do something. It's got resins in it. If you add water to resin, it foams, it gets sticky, it bubbles. It doesn't, resin and water do not mix. So this paint and water do not mix. It's a totally different formulation. The chalk mineral line is a water-based mineral paint. It does really well with water. You can get it to blend and mix and all these things. Okay, and then I just smooth my brush strokes out all the way across my piece. Even corners like this, I want to make sure my corners aren't going two different directions. Brush those out. Make sure I don't have any drips in my edges on my details. And I'm going to let it dry. I do get, sorry, I know you can't, just came all the way over here. All these edges, I'll brush them usually horizontally like this, just so I can get coverage. And then come and brush it, just one long brush stroke going down, and that just cleans up my brush strokes so they're all facing the same direction. Looks much cleaner that way. I do inside my cabinet. You guys are awfully quiet tonight.
You're doing a lot of yapping.
Oh, sorry.
You're making me change it.
Working some overtime tonight.
Yeah,
you know,
some crazy angles and.
I know you guys like to see what the paint is actually going to look like, but I'm going to need another coat on this. So this is the equivalent of kind of a base coat. It's going over a coat of white primer, but it's not. You're not going to see the full result of the paint until I get that second coat on. Silk does not require a top coat, you guys, so it's completely optional if you want to top coat it. And when I say it doesn't require a top coat, it really doesn't require a top coat. How do I know that? Put your silk on, you guys, and wipe it. You know, you can do a sample board and put pencil on it and try to wipe it off. It really wipes really easily. And that's how I feel comfortable knowing that I don't really need to top coat my silk. Do a scratch test on it. Scratch it. Let it dry. Make sure you're not trying to scratch fresh paint, guys. But let your paint fully dry. The paint does take about 30 days to fully cure, and then you can try to scratch it and see how's this going to wear for me. And then if you want to add a clear coat to it, you can. Are you moving my transfers? Everybody's eyeballing them.
Drive me crazy.
My transfers drive you crazy? This is what keeps you up at night?
Yes.
Transfers?
Yep. You know me.
Same here. Same. So I think with silk, the best tips are make sure you load your brush up a little bit heavier and then get your paint on, let it dry, don't keep over brushing, and brush it all in one direction so you get those clean linear strokes. This is going to keep opening, and anywhere I touch it has paint on it.
One Direction, isn't that the name of Gary's band?
I love them. So all this detail molding right here is going to take me a while to get into. Do you guys feel comfortable though if you were trying to make the decision of silk versus the chalk mineral line? The real question you need to ask is, what look are you after? That's the question you need to answer for yourself. What is the look you're after? Clean, smooth, solid color. Silk is going to be your best bet. Drippy, blendy, this beautiful multicolor artistic finish. Choose the chalk mineral line. What are you asking that paint to do? And then in knowing what finish you desire, that's going to help you answer a lot of questions about your prep work too. What do I need to put under my paint? How do I get to this final look that I'm after?
I'm just waiting for you to really give me some different angles, like painting inside the piece. And
you want me to like?
No.
Get upside down. Oh, what if I use like my mechanics creeper and paint underneath it? Does that help? This is driving me nuts that it won't stay shut because I want to get this molding up here. I really do though. I make sure though and look at my piece from every different angle. And that includes on some pieces if I can see the bottom of them. Does the back, you know, does the underside show at certain angles? Because then I want to make sure that I've got those covered in paint. So I do look at it from different angles.
Brittany says, climb in.
Get
on in there. Get in there,
We're
piece.
going in.
Yep. That's really why I took the top off.
When I'm getting details like this, I still load my brush a little bit heavier and I dig them into all the detail work, and then I'm just going to smooth it out, making sure that it's not, I don't want to have it gummed up in, you know, some of the little crevices that are in there. Can
you voodoo on top of silk?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It takes glaze really well, dark waxes. Ah!
Man.
Dixie dirt, transfers, all of those. You can put all those things over the top. When I say clean, smooth finish, I'm talking about the paint itself. I'm not talking about if you want to add things over the top. So you could definitely add all that detail stuff. Patinas, whatever you want can go over silk just the same. Clear coats, whatever you want. It's the actual paint finish itself that I'm talking about. Is your paint finish blended, drippy? You want your patina drippy over the top? Totally different topic.
Here, hold on. I need to get ready. Susan wants me to jump in the piece. Climb on in.
Yeah, he already did to get the top off last night. He climbed all in there to get the top off.
Got to get the Crisco out just to get me back out.
It's back open again. So in just that short little time, I've got a full coat. A little spot right here I'm going to fix. Got it.
Every time somebody asks a question, that's exactly what I wanted to know. That's what I was going to ask. I'm so glad.
I knew. I could read your mind, Gary. I knew that's what you were wondering. I knew you weren't here to start trouble tonight or anything at all, right, Gary? Right, Gary?
Say it isn't so.
I love Gary. Gary is a Dixie Belle paint retailer, you guys. Him and his wife Molly are awesome small business owners, amazing people as well. Really, really nice people to know. So, Gary, put your link up there. So, you guys, I'm going to pop off, but I hope you feel a little bit more comfortable in choosing silk versus the chalk mineral line, and how you would lay it on. It's a little bit different.
If you were to describe the finish, is it like a satin finish when it dries?
It's like, so most of us compare finishes, we think of interior paint finishes, like what you would put on your wall. It's like eggshell. I would compare it to an eggshell finish. It's not flat. Its satin's a little more glossy. It's somewhere in between.
Eggshell. That's what Gary's walking
eggshell.
on.
Yeah. What are the chances? Who knew? I would compare it to an eggshell finish. Still very wipeable. I think it will surprise you. I feel like people need to see. The only reason I'm comfortable saying it is because I've actually had to wipe it down. Like, you wipe it and you'll see it wipes really, really well. So then you know if it's going to be on your, your dresser or your side table or something, that if you knock over your glass, you can wipe it up and it's going to be okay. So give it a test if you're not sure. And I've been telling people too, if you don't know whether you want to seal your silk or not, seal it with a top coat, you can live with it. Live with it for 30 days. See if you like it. You can always add a clear coat later. You don't necessarily need to know that right away. You could leave your paint raw, see how it's working for you, and then decide you want to seal it later. So I think it depends on, on the use too. Some uses are more aggressive than others. Your kitchen dining table, you might want to add a little bit more gloss too, so it's, has some gator hide on it, but I don't know. I think it's really wipeable. I think it would surprise you guys. Anyway, I'm going to pop off, you guys. I'm going to get this piece finished. It will be a video. If you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel, Brushed by Brandy on YouTube, I put out a weekly video. This is I'm looking at probably a good 2 weeks out. The processes on this are really complex, guys. So subscribe and then you'll get notifications when they go up. And I think this is probably a good 2 weeks out. But I do have one going up tomorrow. A whole nother look is going up tomorrow. So check out Brushed by Brandy on YouTube. My link above is in the post if you want to order anything we used tonight. So we used silk in salt water. The Dixie Belle fan decks are all on there too. Awesome really, tools to have. Slip
I'm craving
stick.
taffy now.
Yeah,
some saltwater taffy.
Okay. Anyway, and I will be back here next Thursday, you guys. So thank you for having me. And have a good weekend.